Hey there, I'm Nicole from rockstarseducer.com.
And I'm Devi Ward from sexpassionvancouver.ca.
Awesome. And so today we want to talk about something very, very yummy. And we were just kind of having a discussion about vibrators.
A fun conversation for
A
women
fun-
to have together.
And we just love us our vibrators, don't we?
We love our vibrators.
But there's a way that you have been talking about using a vibrator and the level of healing, I think, that comes from self-pleasuring that a lot of us women aren't aware of. So let's talk about that a little bit.
I would love to talk with you about it. So earlier I was sharing with Nicole my own personal experience of, instead of just masturbating, instead of using my vibrator to just hurry up and have a clitoral orgasm as quickly as I possibly can, taking the time to use my self-pleasuring as a self-healing practice. So really bringing a sense of sacredness and healing and honoring to the experience. And so I was sharing an experience that I had recently with Nicole, which was, and so women may be able to relate, but so using my vibrator, pleasuring myself, and noticing in the midst of pleasure, noticing that I go from like, oh, lots and lots of pleasure to a little bit numb almost. And noticing what's going on in my body at those times, noticing that I'm kind of contracting, that I'm pulling away, that the muscles of my pelvic floor are tightening, my breathing's really shallow, I'm all like clenched up. And the pleasure isn't as beautiful and intense and delicious as it was a few moments before. So just having the awareness that this is what's going on. And once I become aware of that, using my breath to open and relax and heal all that tension and all that contraction that was in my body. So I'm relaxing and opening. I'm opening my mouth. I'm opening my heart. I'm opening my body. I'm allowing the muscles in my pelvic floor to relax and heal. And in this moment, as I do that, I notice that the pleasure goes from maybe 2 on a scale from 1 to 10, all the way back up to 7 or 8. All of a sudden, as I relax and open my body, my pleasure increases. The experience expands. It expands, right?
Now, one of the things that we were talking about, which I think it's so incredible for myself and for so many women to really learn, or, you know, I mean, this is really not only for women, but it's so important that men know this as well. Men understand this about, you know, the female body and just the way it works. And perhaps if you're a man and your woman is not experiencing, she has some sort of block when you are pleasuring her or having, you know, intimacy with her, and you're not having that level of intimacy that you're really wanting. Perhaps it's because she's experiencing some personal blocks in her own sexuality, in her own body. So then you're talking about your experience, and it was more of a transformative or transformational type experience, and not just, you know, I'm getting off with my vibrator kind of thing. Well, not that there's anything wrong with that.
Right, not that there's anything, because it's good to get off with your vibrator.
It's good, listen.
It's good to get off with your vibrator, right? But your vibrator can also be a tool for healing.
Right.
So what occurs is that pleasure is medicine. Right? Pleasure is medicine.
I was going to ask you to say that again. Pleasure is medicine.
So think of when we feel pleasure, what happens to our body? The body opens, it heals, it relaxes. We get all warm and soft and gushy.
And
it's
it expands and just it has that open space.
Open space.
So go ahead.
Open and expand. So in the midst of self-pleasuring, as the emotions, as the tension releases from my pelvic floor, from the cellular tissue in the body, the emotions that are stored there release. And as those emotions release, my heart opens and expands.
So just maybe tell them a little bit about what the feeling was like when the tension was being released. Like, how did you know, how did you have that awareness that the tension was being released from your pelvic floor? Because some women are thinking, where's my pelvis in the first place, right? Or what's happening with that? But how did it feel as it was being released?
Right. Okay. So just to clarify, your pelvic floor are all the muscles in your groin area. Okay.
Right,
And there's
right,
actually
right,
4 muscle groups in there.
right.
And so we store a lot of emotional, sexual trauma in that area of the body. A lot
Yeah.
of tension. Just consider trauma tension. Okay.
Right.
So as it relaxed, I felt my whole yoni, my whole vagina open. The pleasure increased. My heart opened, my body relaxed, and I started having multiple orgasms.
Wow.
I naturally, as I opened to the pleasure that was being experienced, I naturally started having orgasms.
So sorry. So what we were talking about before, the pleasure itself opened you up to experiencing
More pleasure, to healing, to emotional healing. And so as my body opened and as the pleasure increased and as I started orgasming, I became aware of emotions that had been inhibiting my ability to be truly intimate with man.
Wow.
I became aware of emotional blocks. Because the boundaries of my pleasure expanded, I got to see what was in the way of that pleasure before as it healed and released. It's like the pleasure is like kind of like an ocean current or something, or a river current.
Yeah, yeah.
And as it flows, it just kind of takes whatever obstacles to that flow are there and washes them away. Washes them away. Washes them away.
Oh wow!
It's like it's a flood. It's a river of pleasure, and orgasm is riding the waves of pleasure. Yes.
Wow.
And so healing is a natural occurrence. When we experience pleasure, like I said, it's medicine, it's healing, so it's a natural occurrence. We don't have to really do anything other than relax and breathe and allow ourselves to feel. And then whatever emotions are stored there will arise and they will be naturally carried away. It's really beautiful.
It's absolutely beautiful. Well, thank you so much for sharing that. And we'll definitely continue this conversation because this is such a powerful, powerful tool for both transformation and healing and
intimacy.
And intimacy.
I can only be as intimate with a man as I'm willing to be with myself.
Oh my gosh.
Right?
Okay, did you get that? That is absolutely powerful. You can only be as intimate. But we don't think about, okay, we'll talk about that.
That's next chapter.
For the next chapter. But we don't really think about that. That's like so yummy and so awesome and so amazing. So let's talk about it in the next chapter. Thank you so much for watching and we'll talk again soon.
Bye.
Bye.